Thank you. I'm gonna ask those who want to pose questions to go to the microphones. While they're doing that, I'll just respond to Larry's compliment for the work at USIP, which I did supervise, and note that there is a large volume of 19 case studies of constitution making published by USIP Press, and I'm very proud of the work that USIP did on policing, and that there's a very good book called The Police in War, that, of which Bob Perito, my colleague, is a co-author. I also want to add just a word about some other cases. I'm enough of an enthusiast for what's been going on to have taken myself into Benghazi and Tripoli in mid-September to see for myself. And though I share Larry's real concern with the question of militias and the question of law and order, I've got to say that what I saw on the streets of Benghazi and Tripoli and the solidarity of the people behind the National Transitional Council, behind the roadmap that it's laid out, the constitutional framework, gave me good reason for some hope. I feel much less optimistic about what we're seeing in Syria, Yemen, and Bahrain, where really, I mean, these are regimes that are making things very, very difficult, very bloody, very difficult for themselves in the end. And I didn't think we should discuss the Arab Spring without mentioning at least how much those of us who follow these things here hope that things will take a turn for the better in those places. I guess I have two microphones. I'll start here on the right, and we'll take two at a time.
Okay. I really would like to hear the ladies first, so I'm going to yield her.
Okay.
Please introduce yourself.
Okay. Marisa Lino from Northrop Grumman, a proud sponsor of MEI. Fantastic panel, as I think you can see from the number of people who jumped up to comment or question. I just wanted to say one thing very briefly and ask a question. I thought Mr. Diamond did a superb job of bringing together all the themes that the entire panel discussed, and I couldn't agree more with some of the things that he said. I'm curious, especially for Ms. Abdel Fattah and Mr. Masmoudi, with respect to the man on the, or the woman on the street. Their interface with government is primarily the policeman on the corner, the walking the beat, the equivalent. And the frustrations that built up in Tunisia in particular with the petty corruption. Has that stopped? Has the movement that has happened in your respective countries, is the cop on the corner no longer doing that? Or if he or she is doing that, are they being taken to task for continuing something that, that led to the explosion? Thank you.
Thank you, Marisa. Please.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your various comments.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Mehmet. I'm from Georgetown University. I'm MSFS graduate student. Well, my question will be about Syria. We didn't touch upon that one in a deeper way. So yesterday, the League of Arab States warned Bashar al-Assad to stop its current policies in Syria. I really wonder about your thoughts on the issue. Will that be a game changer, or will that be just a byproduct? Thank you for that.
Thank you. To the panel, Esraa and Radwan.
I'm glad to report that there are no more cops on the corner or around the corner in Tunisia, and there are very few of them left, and if they are there, they are behaving very well so far. But of course, the problem of corruption is much bigger and much deeper than just the cops around the corner, and it's going to take a lot of effort to end the corruption that we had before systematically. But I think we're making a lot of progress. people in Tunisia realized that corruption was a huge problem. And at the end of the day, really, it's corruption that brought down Ben Ali so quickly, because he and his regime became so corrupt that there was nobody left to defend them when the people started rising up. On Syria, I'm going to make a prediction that this regime is not going to last very long. Once a regime goes down this road of killing its own people, and the people of Syria have shown strength and resilience and willingness to die for their freedom, I think that's it. I mean, I think it's basically game over for the Bashar Assad regime. It's going to be messy, and people will die, unfortunately, because of the stupidity of this regime. But at the end of the day, the international community has to intervene in Syria. The Syrians don't like it, I think, because understandably they want to do it themselves. But how can they do it themselves against a military that's willing to bomb cities and kill, thousands of people, and shoot? I mean, there is no balance of power. Hopefully, it's not going to come to an intervention like we had in Libya, but there has to be real and serious pressure on the Assad regime. The Arab League, which is really one of the best developments, is finally taking an active role and siding with the people of the region rather than, as it has for the past 40 years, sided with the regimes. Now the Arab League understands that the equation has changed a little bit, and the Arab League is defending the rights of the Syrian people. But I think the United States and the European community and the United Nations have to play a role. And they have an obligation, we all have an obligation to defend innocent civilians who are standing up to demand their freedom. We are responsible. If there is one death in Syria or in Yemen or in Bahrain, I think, and we don't speak up, then we are responsible for that death.
Esraa.
Maybe I will not add a lot, but I will confirm what Mr. Massoud said. That is, we need very long time, I think, to try to catch all the corruptions happened in our countries. Every day we discover a new kind of corruption. Every day we discover a new level of corruptions in our institutions. So I think it will take a lot of time. It will take a lot of time to catch what happened, and we will continue our revolution, as I mentioned in my speech. That is, we will be in the time of revolution until all this period is finished. I think we will start to try to just to build our new institutions by the next presidential will come to Egypt. But now we just try to discover all the kind of corruption that happened in our country, and we will insist on continue our revolution and continue our pressure until to stop or try to stop these corruptions. Thank you.
Larry or Michele on Syria, are you tempted?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add a word on that. I mean, will the Arab League move be a game changer regarding Syria? I don't know if it'll be a game changer, but I think one of the things that's most significant about it to me is that we're seeing most of the Arab governments tell us what they think is going to happen in Syria. I mean, I don't think they're doing what they're doing out of love of democracy. They're placing their bets on whether Bashar al-Assad is going to last or not. And most of them, with the exception of Iraq, Yemen, and Lebanon, are saying no. So that's quite interesting in itself. And then I guess, what could begin to be more of a game changer is if there will be real economic sanctions by Turkey and by the Arab states to follow this. And we'll have to see about that.
Please.
I agree. Just let me add
Sorry,
two things. It's just a matter of time, but time is very important because a lot of innocent Syrians will die if many more than otherwise would if the time is long. And so the pressure has to be ratcheted up. And in addition, two other things need to happen. One is that the incentives for defection need to be accelerated. And I think on the negative side, it would be a very good thing if the International Criminal Court could indict Bashar al-Assad and make it clear there's a lot more coming if the people under him don't defect. And at the same time, we need to engage people under him. It's probably going on anyway through a variety of means, we, the international community, to say, look, jump ship now before you go down with him. And the second thing is, which I know US and other actors are really trying to facilitate, the opposition's just got to get its act together. You know, if you don't get consolidation of opposition forces in a situation like this, even if there's a fall of the regime, you could have a very chaotic aftermath.
I can't resist inserting a word just to say that there's clearly a struggle going on within the opposition about whether to use violence or not. The simple fact is that violent revolutions succeed far less often with far higher casualties than nonviolent revolutions. Please.
Thank you. Jeff Steinberg with EIR. I have a question for Michele and Esraa concerning the other sort of unspoken outside factor in the Egyptian situation, namely Saudi Arabia, where there's not only been evidence produced by the government commission about vast amounts of money going into some of the neo-Salafi MBs in Egypt, but there's also a much more sort of government-to-government factor when the Egyptian government went to the IMF and had trouble getting a loan and the population resisted the conditionalities. The Saudis stepped in and made, I believe, a $4 billion loan, ostensibly without conditionalities, but the implicit conditionalities are, I think, quite significant, and clearly the Saudi royal family was not pleased with Arab Spring, and particularly with the sense of the United States' abandonment of President Mubarak. So I'd like an appraisal of this factor and how large a role it may play as events move forward. Thank you.
Let me take a second one.
Hi there, my name's David. I'm unemployed. We hear a lot in this, I have another question about Egypt also. We hear a lot in this country about the supposed danger of Islamists and the threat that they pose to democracy, especially Muslim Brotherhood, Nahda. But what I seem to get from, especially Michele Dunne's presentation and Esraa Abdel Fattah, was that the SCAP is actually more of a roadblock to democratization than what we know about Islamists. And what we've seen in Egypt over the past 9 months, especially Esraa Abdel Fattah mentioned the Constitution First campaign and super constitutional principles. There were some really vicious attacks, rhetorical attacks between liberals and Islamist groups about these campaigns. And is there any coordination between liberal groups and Islamists to sort of press the SCAF? Or, and if there is, does that really have any chance of succeeding? Thank you.
Esraa?
Yes, I have the first concern about the aids of Saudi Arabians to the Salafis or the Islamist groups in Egypt. Yes, we have this concern, and we always ask it. You asked the activists and the organization and civil society about their money and their funds and how they get it, and they ask it to discover their personal and their company, even their company accounts, and they totally ignore what happened and how these people, from what resource they come their money. And we find that is in their campaigning now, find a lot of money in the street from the Islamist groups. And no one asks, and the government and even the military don't care at all to mention that we need to know how this money come from and why we make this money in the street like this way. Yes, we have this concern, and we I always ask it. We are welcome to be under the law, and we are welcome to an investigation with us, but not alone. We need to be to implement the value of equality. We need not to be investigation with us. Yes, okay, we need to pick it, but not alone. We need the Salafis and all the people says which their source of money. And if they have money for a legal way, we need to stop it. But I think, I don't know, I have very big question mark. I don't know why the military totally ignore this thing. according to the point of the cooperation between liberals and the Muslim Brotherhood, actually no, there is no cooperation in this election between Muslim Brotherhood and liberals. I think it's difficult to happen. The Muslim Brotherhood have their agenda and have their ideology, and they want to apply their strategic in the next parliament and maybe in the next constitutions, but it is difficult to work together. I think they have their groups, and they make like cooperation with some small liberals or leftists or groups, liberal groups, but it's not strong. No one knows what is the name of the group they cooperate with. But we have other liberal and leftist groups and other leftists who are in competitive with Muslim Brotherhood, and we try to support them in Egypt and also the Egyptian abroad to support these liberal and civic groups, but I don't think it will be any cooperation between the Muslim Brotherhood and with the liberals or leftists in the next elections.